A Surprise for Gappy, Book 1 of the Young Vampire Adventures by Star Donovan. Illustrations by Anne Catherine Liu. Chapter 7, Gappy to the Rescue. After school, Gappy walked home with Prue, as usual. Almost at the corner of her street grew a hedge that straggled along the front of an old, abandoned house. As they approached the hedge, they could hear a boy's jeering laughter and a dog barking. It sounded like the fourth-grade bully Billy Tompkins and his dog Butch, an enormous Rottweiler who was just as mean as his master. Gappy and Prue looked at each other and stopped walking when they heard another boy's voice pleading, "Don't do it, Billy, please. I worked so hard on that, and my dad's going to be really mad if it gets broken. He spent a long time helping me glue it together." They peered through a hole in the hedge and saw Billy Tompkins standing on the right side of the empty house's wraparound porch, holding a model of a big, white building above his head. He was obviously threatening to throw it over the railing onto the stone path that wound around the house. Butch sat on the porch and at the top of the short flight of steps, growling at Timothy Dalo. The boy was standing on the front path, halfway to the house, but too scared of the dog to approach any further. "Gosh, that's Timmy's model of the White House," Gappy whispered to Prue. Timmy had brought it to school for Citizens' Day, and the principal had placed it in a glass display case in the entrance hall for a whole week for people to see and admire. "You're right," Prue whispered back. "He told everyone how it took him and his dad simply ages to make it. His dad's been laid off from his job, so he's home a lot more. He and Timmy worked on it together." "Yeah, he's so proud of that model," Gappy said. "And now Billy's going to break it. Poor Timmy." Timothy Dalo was a short, thin boy with wispy hair that refused to lie flat. He had a lazy eye, so he wore thick spectacles that made one eye look huge, while the other lens of his glasses was covered by a piece of bright pink tape. He was just asking to be bullied by people like Billy Tompkins, who had quickly nicknamed him Timmy Dayglow. "What shall we do?" Prue asked. "We can't just do nothing." Gappy did not answer. He wasn't particularly scared of Billy, who was a year older from having to repeat fourth grade. Although the boy was fatter than Gappy, he was not much taller, and he was pretty stupid. Not that anyone would ever say that to his face. It was too dangerous. However, Gappy was scared of Butch. He had seen him snap at one or two kids when they got too close to Billy. He and Prue walked down to a gap in the hedge where a gate had once stood. They could see more clearly now, but what could they do? "Stay here, Prue," Gappy decided. "I might be able to do something, but you're smaller than me, and a girl, and I'm sure Billy wouldn't mind hitting a girl just as much as a boy." Prue looked indignant. "I'm just as game as you are, Gustavus Grapple, even if I am a girl." "Just the same, stay here," Gappy told her. He ran down the front path to join Timmy, who glanced sideways at him with a worried look. "Billy!" Gappy yelled. "Yeah? What do you want?" Billy yelled back. "Hey, it's the fainting boy, Crappy Gappy, come to the rescue. And is that your little girlfriend Carrots I see? Aw, ain't that cute? Well, you're too late." He raised the White House higher above his head and planted his feet, preparing to chuck the model over the railing. "Don't do it, Billy. Don't be such a bully," Prue shouted from close behind Gappy. Gappy sighed, but he was only slightly surprised. He might have known Prue would not listen to him when he told her to stay back. As Timmy wailed a final, "No!" and Butch barked again, Gappy felt a surge of anger sweep through him. Suddenly, the fizzy bubbles in his chest seemed to pop, and his mind became crystal clear. Before he knew what he was doing, he had dropped his book bag and was running down the path the rest of the way to the house. "Shut up, stupid dog," he thought to himself as he ran. No sooner had Gappy finished this thought than Butch yelped loudly and cowered down on the porch. Billy lowered his arms a little and looked sideways at Butch as Gappy skidded to a halt near the foot of the steps. The dog stared down at Gappy and began whimpering. Timmy, who had crept up to join Gappy, shoved his glasses up his nose with a grubby hand and gaped at Butch, his mouth open in a round O. Time seemed to stop for a moment and everyone froze, except for Butch, who kept on whimpering. Gappy's thoughts were still as clear as crystal, and he still felt really angry. But what just happened? He looked at Butch. Yeah, you stupid dog. Butch yelped again and snarled at Gappy. Wow, Gappy wondered. Can that dog hear my thoughts? Shh. He whistled softly to himself between his teeth. He stared intently at Butch and concentrated hard, imagining he could send a beam from his own head to Butch's furry one, aiming right between the ears. Go away, Butch, he thought slowly and deliberately. Go home. To his amazement, Butch whined loudly and scampered down the steps, then hurtled past the two boys and up the path, almost knocking Prue over in the process. Hey, she yelled. But the dog was gone, racing down the street with his tail between his legs. What? Billy gasped. What did you do to him? Me? Nothing, Gappy said. What could I do to him? Billy looked puzzled. His arms had sunk even lower so that the White House was now almost sitting on top of his head. He felt torn. Should he go and check on his dog or finish what he had set out to do, destroy the model? He looked at Gappy standing at the foot of the steps with Timmy cowering behind him. And to make matters worse, there was that dratted, carroty-haired Prue as well. As Gappy gazed coolly back at Billy, not seeming the least bit frightened, Billy suddenly imagined what he must look like to the others. A burly boy with a red face and a round pudding bowl haircut, like a stupid monk holding a stupid model above his head. All of a sudden, he felt really ridiculous. Ugh, whatever, he shouted, and threw the White House over the railing. Prue and Timmy gasped, but Gappy had guessed what Billy was about to do. He quickly ran to the side and caught the model in his arms just before it hit the ground. Billy ran down the steps and up the path, aiming a kick at Timmy as he passed the boy. Grow some guts, will ya? He shouted. Get you later, crappy, he yelled over his shoulder as he brushed past Prue. Then he ran off down the street after Butch. Timmy and Prue came over to Gappy. Gappy, you were great, Timmy squealed. Prue nodded in agreement. Yeah, I don't know what you did, but for some reason, that dog does not like you. I don't know why, Gappy said, handing the model to Timmy. Just lucky, I guess. Anyway, here's your model, Timmy. It's a little bent there where I grabbed it, but it looks okay. That's all right, Timmy said. My dad and I will easily fix that. Gee, thanks a lot, Gappy. I owe you one. See you at school tomorrow? Yeah, Gappy said. See you tomorrow. Bye, Prue called after him as Timmy trotted up the path. He was eager to get home to fix his model. She picked up Gappy's book bag and handed it to him. Then she slipped her arm into his. That was weird, she said. Butch seemed like he was really scared of you all of a sudden. What did you do? Hypnotize him or something? Gappy squirmed. Don't be silly, he told her. Haven't you heard people say that dogs and horses and things are supposed to know what people are feeling? Maybe Butch could tell that I wasn't going to let him scare me, so he ran away. I'm just glad it happened the way it did. I wasn't looking forward to getting beaten up by Billy, and he still would have smashed Timmy's model. Prue scratched her head and twisted a red pigtail round and round with her finger before sticking the spiky end in her mouth. Well, I just know it was really weird the way Butch acted and how you two were looking at each other, like you had some sort of a connection. Gappy squirmed some more. Little did Prue know, but she had almost guessed his secret. Anyway, whatever it was, Prue went on, it was really brave of you what you did, Gappy. Charging at Billy and Butch like that. You saved the day. She sighed. I just hope we don't pay for it at school tomorrow. Billy probably feels pretty stupid right now. You're probably right, Gappy agreed as they reached Prue's corner. We'll have to keep an eye out for Billy for a while, won't we? See you, Prue. Still shaking her head, Prue said goodbye and walked away down her street, turning after a few steps to wave back at Gappy. Visit Gappy at www.gappy.tv.